Hello everybody, Jen from Scrapping Under the Influence here with a new project for the design team for Doodlebug Design. So this week I am working with the Doodlebug Seaside Summer collection, which is so cute and so fun and has such bright colors and cute elements, and I was thrilled that I got a chance to work with this because this one did come out a year or so ago, but Doodlebug, unlike other companies, doesn't like release something and retire it 3 months later, which is awesome. So like it can be fairly easy to find a collection from a year or two ago because they're still available. And that was the case with this one. I was not on their design team when this one came out, so I was really excited I got the opportunity to work with it. So what I have here is a standing album. It is 8 by 8 for my big back piece. It's got a 3-inch base, spine technically, but the whole point of this was this could stand up and be displayed. And when it is standing up and being displayed, you see I've got my Chit Chat pieces here that say Tropical Paradise Summer Beach Vacation down by the seashore. I've used some little odds and ends here, one of the puffy icons here, and I've got a couple of puffy icons there, just kind of creating like a cascading album. Okay, so when I untie my sides here, this whole thing lays down, and then you flip it to go through it. So on this first page I don't really have, anything other than just super cute paper and decorations. I've got a couple of puffy stickers here, some little odds and ends layered up in this corner. This is an insert with the little vacation Chit Chat on the top that comes out of the page, which was kind of the whole idea behind this being a stand-up graduated album. So on the back side here, again, I've got Chit Chat, one of the this and that sticker sheets here and here. This is from the icon stickers, and then the odds and ends. This little section flips up like this with space for pictures, and then also folds all the way down and out like so with more space for pictures. This insert here, we've got beach up on that top corner, and we've got a couple of picture spots there. And again, that just sits down in there like so, but then sticks up so you can read it. On the back side, I do have some more photo mats and things. I've used some odds and ends and some things from the this and that sticker sheet, and then a cut apart that there is a magnet under there to hold that one closed. This section was matted to where it's heavy enough. I didn't need a magnet on this side, but again, this all opens up so you've got lots of space for pictures, and we've got a journaling spot in here as well. This page also has an insert, and this is the only one of the inserts that's matted the same front and back, so there is that. The tops of all of these, the main page itself, so like up here, I did use border strips. So this little beach house is a border strip, the boats are a border strip, our vacation, and then the hearts and the stripes are border strips. Same thing here and here as well. On the back side here, I've got a belly band that I still have not managed to cut an insert for. Oh, that one actually fits, so we're just gonna go with that. I get sidetracked like decorating and doing other things, and then I forget about my inserts. You guys don't even know, I do this all the time. On this side, we've got another cut apart with a magnet, and this flips open, and we've got kind of a back and forth waterfall. I did not mat the back side of these just because I didn't want this getting too bulky with the flaps and then paper on top of that. This insert, again, we've got nice big picture spaces, and then that will go down in like so. The back side here, this is another kind of like a tuck spot pocket. So well, maybe. So these actually both are just little flat pockets that you can just tuck some photos and photo mats in there. Nothing else really was needed on that because we've got that cute word paper there. This side we've got another cut apart and a cut apart, and then this all flips up like so. And I've just used the odds and ends to decorate that and left the rest of it as is. And again, we've got border strips up there. We've got one more insert here. And then we've got another belly band on this back page. But I'm just going to stick a couple of photo mats underneath. And then I've got a little slider here because this all flips open like so. And we've got a big journaling spot and a cut apart. And it just closes up just like that. On the back here, I have got a like policy envelope type closure. But I think I went back and forth when I closed it up. But I've got a deeper box pocket in here. I meant to put something over the back side of that. I didn't get to it, but you know what, that's okay. And then this just, I've got the coral doodle twine underneath here to close this up. Actually, I kind of like how that's rocking like it's floating in the water. Okay, so there we go there. And then on the back, I've just got one of the stickers from the This and That sticker sheet. So, as always, thank you for watching the free tutorial with all measurements given during the tutorial. I actually went through pretty much all of the matting. I did all of the matting with you except on the inserts, and kind of talked a little bit about decorating this. So if you're new to albums, I did show the process that I went through for matting, especially since I did something a little bit different here with using those border strips. So that tutorial plays next. As always, thank you for watching. If you end up following along and making this project or any of my projects, please share them with me on and tag me at Scrapping Under the Influence on both Instagram and Facebook, and also tag Doodlebug in those same places as well. Let's get to it. Okay, so we are going to start with 3 pieces of chipboard. One is going to be 8 by 8, and then 2 that are 8 by 3. Okay. We're going to wrap our chipboard, which if you've followed along with any of my albums before, you should be familiar with this process, but if not, to wrap this, I need a piece of cardstock that is 10 by 10, and I want to leave a 1-inch border around my chipboard. Okay, I've got the back of this completely covered in tape. Okay, so I'm going to leave a 1-inch border and just drop that down. So basically, you're centering that. Okay, and that chipboard is like ever so slightly warped, but that's okay. Our next piece is going to be 5 by 10, and again, we're going to leave 1 inch and 1 inch, like so. And again, I have it covered in tape on the back side. Okay. And then our second 3 by 3 piece, we are going to use a piece that is 10 by 6. Because this is going to be our spine. We want 1 inch on the top and bottom, and we want 1.5 inches on each side, like so. Again, it is covered in tape. This is a vinyl weeding tool. It is a little pin, so that little teensy tiny needle edge, you can put it away and not stab yourself. Not that that stops me, because I still stab myself with it all the time, but that's okay. And they come like 2 or 3 to a pack on Amazon for like $5. And they're fabulous for getting the tape or the backing off of like score tape. Okay. I'll move this out of the way. All right, so we're going to start with our hinge. So this is the piece that has the 1.5 inches on each side. And I'm going to go ahead and take my normal bone folder, not my big one. But it's apparently not where it's supposed to. There it is. I was doing so well, I thought, oh, I've got all of my stuff I need right here. No, of course not. Okay, so I'm going to put this with the pretty side up. And I'm just going to kind of go around with my bone folder and start to work that paper around the chipboard. Okay, see how now you can see the outline. We're going to fold and burnish. So I'm just using the chipboard to fold the paper over. Now, I'm going to fold that in, and I'm going to go from the edge of the chipboard here okay, like so, and then we're going to fold these sides in and miter again. All right, so this one we want to fold over and adhere down these two ends and leave the wings free. Okay. So if you are new to mini albums, this is the lay flat method of album cover making, designed by Tamara Merrill at Country Craft Creations, who I also designed for. And it is so much easier. Okay. All right. So then I'm going to take some glue. Did I not make sure this was unclogged? Probably not. There we go. Along the edge of the chipboard and then a little bit in the middle there. I take my bone folder, go up and over, and a little bit of glue squeeze out. It's not a big deal. Okay, same thing on this end. So I'm pushing up against the chipboard and then folding it over and burnishing it down. Okay, now I'm going to flip this back over. I'm going to burnish down along the side and again along the side, so that's nice and defined. Then I'm going to add another little strip of score tape. And set this one aside. Okay. Our other two pieces, we are going to do the exact same starting process. So I'm going to come around with my bone folder and outline my chipboard. I think that tone's better. Okay, like so. And then again, using the chipboard to bend the paper. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on this one before we wrap both of these. So now I am going to go ahead and miter this again, just like I did with the other one. Okay, same thing again. Okay. Okay, so both of these we're going to fold all four sides around. So I'm going to go on all of these with the score tape. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing we did on the ends on this piece, only we're going to do it on all four sides. So I like to go through and take my backing off all the way around. You can do it one at a time if that's easier for you. Okay, I'm going to start on the long sides. I'm going to use my big bone folder because my wrist is not happy today. My hand is not happy today. Okay, so we're doing just the exact same process. You can just go all the way around, you know, one side turn, next side turn. I prefer to do like either both short and then both long, or vice versa when doing these. So there is our short cover. Here's our larger back cover. Okay. Okay. Glue along the edge of the chipboard. Okay, so now we're going to put it together. All right, I think I'm going to start with my smaller piece. So what I'm going to do is fold this over and just kind of burnish this down. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, get my tape off. I'm going to hold this with one finger, and I'm going to get glue all over this. So what you want to do here, you want to keep your glue about 1/8 of an inch away from that edge, okay? So now I'm going to line this up like so. I'm going to look and make sure I'm good side to side. And then I'm going to put them together. Okay. And there's one side of your cover. Which this one I know because they're different sizes, a little bit different than little bit different than how I would normally do this, but this one's going to be a really fun, kind of different album, so it will be okay. So I'm going to go on this side again, and I'm going to just kind of burnish a little bit just to make sure I've got this folded over all the way. I'm going to get my backing off. Okay. And then, just like I did before, I'm going to line this up. So I'm kind of making a V right here. Making sure I'm lined up side to side. And then just putting that together. Okay. So now we are all adhered down, so I'm going to go ahead and burnish on the inside. Okay. Last thing we need is a piece to reinforce this whole area. So because our album is 8 inches wide, this piece is 7 7/8, so it's just slightly smaller, and then it's just slightly wider than the wings on our hinge. So this was 6 inches. This one I think I did 7.5 just because I was in my scrap bin and that's what size this one was. Okay, I have covered the back completely with tape. And I'm going to go ahead and get that backing off. So the rest of the album construction, like when you're adhering the chipboard to the cardstock to make each of these pieces, if you wanted to use glue instead of tape, you absolutely can. For this centerpiece to reinforce, you absolutely want to use tape, and you need edge-to-edge coverage. The reason for that is when we put this down, if you've used glue, you run the risk of this bubbling, of, you know, it not adhering all the way, so that when you are opening, you know, when you go to close the book the first time, it popping up. With the tape, it goes down completely smooth, completely flat, and you don't have that issue. So, okay. And I always tend to turn these sideways so I can kind of see, like, side to side, that I'm getting it nice and centered, nice and straight. And you're going to just drop that down like that, and then burnish it down. Okay. So we're going to then come in here with the bone folder, and we are going to burnish that down into that crease. And all I'm doing to do that is I'm just bending this up and then running my bone folder back and forth. Okay. I then will come in and pinch. I'm not sure what I've done right here, but something's not happy. There we go. Okay, and pinch. Okay, so this is going to stand up like this. We will end up adding, I'm not sure if I'm going to do ribbon or if I'm going to do something with some magnets so that it will stay up, but when it's open, it will just kind of fall open like so. Okay, so let me get our page pieces together and I'll be right back. Okay, pages. First one, 8 1/4 by 7 3/4. With the 8 1/4 at the top of the scoreboard, we're going to score at 1/2 inch. Next one is going to be 7 1/4 by 7 3/4. 7 1/4 at the top, score at 1/2 inch. And yes, I've already scored these, so. Next one is going to be 6 1/4 by 7 3/4, scored at 1/2 inch. 5 1/4 by 7 3/4, score at 1/2 inch. And 4 1/4 by 7 3/4, scored at 1/2 inch. For the pockets that go on these, okay, first one is going to be 3 3/4 by 8 3/4. You're going to score at 1/2 inch and 8 1/4. Okay. All of these are going to be the same width. These are all going to be 8 3/4, scored at 1/2 and 8 1/4. So 3 3/4, 4 3/4, 5 3/4, 6 3/4, and then 7 3/4. Okay. So I'm going to start with my pockets, and I'm going to miter all of these. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to get fancy on these, and I'm going to stack them and do them all at once. Excuse me. And then we're going to do the same thing with our page bases. We're going to go ahead and miter on the bottom. Actually, no, we're not. Take back. Do not miter the page bases. Okay. So I'm going to take my first one, which is the 4 1/4 by 7 3/4. I'm going to take my 8 3/4 by 3 3/4 page topper. And I'm going to fold and burnish. And then we are going to glue this even with the top. So, to make sure that I am even with the top, I'm going to take my base piece, I'm going to fold that and burnish that, and I'm going to make sure this lines up. Okay, so when you're putting this top piece on, you want your tab that's going to attach this to the spine to the back. Okay. I just refilled this so I can't put it in its little stand there or it will leak everywhere. Okay, so you're putting glue on those tabs, and then you're going to do a very thin line along the bottom. Okay, that thin line is going to go towards your fold here. Like so. And then burnish it down. Okay, there's your first page. We are going to do this exact same process on all 5 pages. Okay, so I'm folding and burnishing, and then putting that with the folded side underneath, facing towards me. I'm going to fold and burnish on my pocket. And then I'm going to get glue on my tabs. A thin line along the bottom. and line this up at the bottom of the page. Okay. And again, like so. Oh, don't do that because that's going to leak everywhere since it's freshly filled. And for those that may be wondering, that is the My Sweet Petunia Precision Glue Press. If you've got like any kind of grip issues with your hands like I do, it is a lifesaver because it makes it much easier to squeeze the glue bottle. They tell you that when it's sitting in the stand that it doesn't leak. Because I'm using art glitter glue with it, that has not been the case with me every time. It doesn't always want to like sit in the base like it's supposed to, because what's supposed to happen is this little tip's supposed to sit like on the center of that little pink silicone pad that's in there. It doesn't always want to do that. But just, you know, the fact that it makes it that much easier for me to not have my hands get completely worn out when I'm making albums and other projects and things, it's worth it. So there we go. Okay, and our last one. So these are our pages. These are going to go in our base that I've apparently buried off to the side. Stacked like so, so that when they're all in, it's going to be graduated. Okay? So let me get set up here and we'll go ahead and put these in our base. Okay, so basically the way our hinges are going to go in on this is they're going to go in very much like you put a waterfall together. Okay, so you're going to start with your first hinge facing in, and then you're just going to line up the next one and so on across. However, and I hadn't thought about this until I got ready to record this. So I designed these page spacers. So when you do a normal hidden hinge for the mini albums like this, you do your hinge and then you put your pages down on the hinges. I had designed this to keep the spacing of those hinges or those pages up off the base of your hinge, 1/8 of an inch, so that they turn more smoothly when you get your page elements on there. They don't cause it to catch and whatnot, and they've worked really well. And as I was recording, the building of the pages, and I went, said something about putting them in, I was like, I wonder if this will work. So you of course can do it just, the way you would normally do that, but turns out I can actually slide these into my spacer just like I normally would do with a normal hinge, in part because, these have the pockets on there, making them just a tiny bit thicker than normal. But I can slide these in. I can slide this one in on this side to get them perfectly spaced. Well, maybe I can get it in on this side. Which honestly, I had not thought about this until this morning when I started to do this. So I've got my spacers. I've got them pushed all the way to the bottom. Okay. And then I can use this to help line up where my pages need to go. And then I can put them in all at once. Okay. However, before I do that, I do want a mat underneath this, and I didn't get my paper ready for that. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to use that piece right there. This will be 7 7/8 high, and then 2 7/8 wide. And we're just going to glue that in like so. Okay, so then I've got my spacers on here. You can see from the bottom, this is all lined up exactly. So what I can do is get my glue on all of my little hinges here, tabs that is, for my pages. I can flip it over and I can line this up. So, push my first one down, actually push down in between here, and then I can just slide those out, and then, oh, didn't get that one burnished clearly. And get these lined up. Burnish them a little bit better before you take that spacer out. That's all I can say. But these These are all spaced exactly. And there we go. Awesome. That worked so much better than I thought. I'm kind of surprised. Not really, but kind of. Okay, so that much of this is ready to go. And I'm going to get some elements for our pages themselves, and then we can talk about decorating and how we're going to do our ribbon closure and our cover. Okay, so before we do any page elements, I'm going to go ahead and do my ribbon so that I don't forget to do it. I can, just because I literally do it all the time, I can see myself getting like this all matted and everything and then going, oh, there's no ribbon. Okay, so I've got just this green ribbon that's in my stash. We are going to put this about 1/4 of an inch from the top on the front. Okay. So I'm going to put my score tape on, lift the corner up, actually cut that off so it's straight, and go ahead and put this down, and then I'm going to put that backing paper back over it, just because I don't necessarily want to leave that off and have this get stuck. I know what I'm trying to say, I promise. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I guess I went down a little bit further, about 1/2 inch instead of 1/4 inch. That's fine. And then I'm going about 15 inches, which is probably more than I need. But you know what? I am bow challenged. I cannot tie a bow to save my life. So it's best if I kind of overdo it. Okay, so this is up. We're going to go about right here. And we're going to do the same thing again. I'm going to peel this back part way. Lay my ribbon in there. And then put that backing paper back over the top. And then the other side, we're going to do the exact same thing. My straight edge. Okay. And again, pull this out. All right. So our ribbon is on. Let me find my things to get our little front piece here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mat this front piece with a piece of the coordinating Doodlebug solid that is 2 7/8 by 7 7/8. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get the backing off of my tape. I'm going to glue this on. Like so. Okay. Then I have 1.5 inch strips of the water pattern that on the back side has the little animals on the sand color, and then I've got a 1.5 inch strip of little sea creatures under the water. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with our top piece. This is also 7 7/8, and I'm going to very carefully tear along the top. Okay, so this is going to go on like so. Or wait, was I not tearing this one? Okay, we're going to hold off on that one for just a second. We're going to do that same tear on the top of both of these, however. I'm thinking that one I just need to trim so it's even across the top. Okay, and I'm doing this so that, okay, so see how we've got a white edge. That's what I want, okay? Same thing on this one. We're going to do this and get our little white edge. So these are going to get layered like so on this front. Do we really need that brown underneath? Probably not, but just in case you have, you know, this cut kind of short, that's why I want that on there, okay? This piece, and I did like get ahead of myself here. This one we do not need to tear. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim that back off so it's even. Okay, this one's going to go down first. We're going to do it about 1/8 of an inch from the top of our brown that we put on here. Okay, so I'm going to glue that one down. Like so. Then we're going to do our wave piece, and then we'll do our ocean piece. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of lay them on here and figure out about where they need to go. So on the back side of the wave piece, I'm not going all the way to the top here. I'm leaving it about 1/4 of an inch or so down. Because once this dries, I want to be able to kind of pull this out a little bit and bend it out just a teeny bit. And if I decide I want to tuck any little, you know, the little crabs or anything like that underneath here, I can do that. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on this bottom piece. Okay, like so. And there is our cover. Kind of on the fence. I had thought about doing an acetate piece that would go on up to the top, and I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to leave this open on the front because it will stand up like this. And we're going to use odds and ends on the fronts of most of these. Probably the first, at least the first 3, possibly the first 4, to kind of seam build so that when this is standing up like so, you're going to have those elements kind of graduated up the top here. Okay, so when this is closed, and right now this top page is hitting on here because it's not matted yet, and that's fine. That'll happen until we get some matting on that back page, or that back cover, which is fine. But this is going to tie like this, and then stand up like so. Okay, so that's kind of the idea behind how this album's going to work. And then when you have it open, you've got these nice big pockets for tags and inserts, which we're going to get to here shortly. And then we're going to have some elements below that line on the fronts and on the backs of these bigger pocket pages. Okay, so let me get some other matting cut for in here, and then back here, and probably the back side, and then we'll work on our inside pages. Okay, so we're going to start with the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and use the little kind of wave print, so 2 7/8 by 8 and 7, or I'm sorry, 7 7/8. We're going to glue that one down on here. Okay, when I open up in here, we're going to use the little sand print again, so 2 7/8 by 7 7/8. And I realize I'm giving you matting measurements, which I don't typically do. However, make sure you're measuring your actual project first in case it's slightly different than mine, so that you're cutting stuff to the size you actually are going to need. Okay, so this back inside cover, I'm going to use the back side of the ocean print. So this is 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. Okay, there's that. And then on the back of the album, I'm going to go ahead and use a bigger piece of the little sea creatures. So this is, again, 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. I'm going to go ahead and get my backing off of my tape because we don't want to mat over that. Okay. Go ahead and put that one down. Okay, so next up is going to be page elements. So things that are actually going on either the front or back of your actual pages within the book. Okay? Okay, so I did a little bit of matting on the pages. So on this first page, since this doesn't have any flaps or any elements, I used one of the border strips and then a piece of the pattern paper that's got like the little beach like scenes on it, and then put a border strip across that to kind of break that up. On the back side, I just did a piece that is 7 5/8 by 3 5/8. Okay, this is our element that's going to go on here. The rest of my pages, as you can see going up here, I used border strips. So the size, depending on how you mat this, if you do it exactly like I do, the measurements that I'm going to give you are what's going to fit for our elements down here. If you use different ones on the fronts of these, then you'll need to measure and adjust your elements, okay? So, first piece up, because between the bottom of my border strip here and the bottom of my page, I had 3 5/8 of an inch. So this is 10 I'm sorry, 11. I cut it just short, just shy of 11 by 7 3/4. So it's going to be the full width, and it's going to be shorter. Okay. So if this is different, you'll need to adjust this length right here. Okay. Or just take and use one of the pattern papers and cut it to the same width as this specific border strip, which is 1 1/16. So that's kind of how the front of the pages are going to go. The back side, the measurement I give you is going to be the measurement you'll use. Okay, so I scored this at 1/2 inch, 4 inches, and 7 1/2. And that's why I went just a little bit under 11 inches, because this is going to fold in, and I don't want that bottom flap interfering when you're trying to fold it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and miter at the top. I'm going to fold this piece over and burnish it down. Fold in again and burnish it down. And then I'm going to fold my tab, which is actually going to go the other direction. Okay, so this is going to go right up against the bottom there. And then when you open it, it's going to come down like this and then up. Okay? Alright, so there's our first element. So this one, I will probably end up adding a magnet on here just to keep it folded up, but I'll decide that here in a little bit after that gets matted. Okay, on the back side, we've just got 2 flaps. These are 6 by 4. Both of these are going to be scored with the 6 inches across the top of your scoreboard at 1/2 inch. Okay, on both of those. I'm going to go ahead and miter. And then fold and burnish. And then these are just going to go opposite each other like so. And center this over here. And the same on the opposite side. Okay. All right. So again, on this one, I used the Our Vacation border strip, and then I left the hearts with the little stripes attached. Put these both on here, butted right up to each other. So those together are 1 1/4 inches, and then I've got 4 3/8 from the bottom of that border to the bottom of my page. So for this one, we're going to do flaps, one that goes up, one that goes down. In the case of mine, because of my matting, this is going to be 4 3/4 by 7 3/4. Both of these with the 4 3/4 at the top, I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. Okay, on both of those. We're going to go ahead and miter. Most of the time when doing flaps, I'm going to miter my corners. The exception is going to be waterfalls. Waterfalls, you're not going to miter. And then when you're folding your score lines, you're going to fold towards the bumpy side. So you're going to put the bumpy side up, fold over, and burnish. Okay? So one of these is going to go right up here at the top. And again, it's going to go right up to the edge of that border strip that I used to mat. Okay. This one is going to go all the way down at the bottom and fold in that way. Okay, so there's that element. On the back side of that page, we're going to do a belly band because this is on the back side that does not have the border strip. This is 6 3/4 by 2, and this one just came out of my scrap pile. So I'm going to miter. Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to score this at 1/2 inch and at 6 1/4. Not that you can see that because that got slid out of frame. So at 1/2 and at 6 1/4. Okay. And then you're going to miter. Fold and burnish. And then just center it on the back side of that page. Just like so. Okay. All right. Front of the next page. My border strip on this one is 1 3/8, and those two are next to each other on the paper. So I just left them attached. So that leaves me 5 3/8 down to the bottom of the page. So I have 4 pieces that are 4 1/2 by 5 1/4. All of these are getting scored with the 4 1/2 at the top and scored at 1/2 inch. Okay. We are not mitering these because we're going to do kind of an overlapping waterfall on this. Okay. So I'm going to fold and burnish all 4 pieces. I've got glue everywhere. Okay. So how this one is going to work, we're going to have 2 flaps on one side stacked like a waterfall, 2 pages on the other side, the same method. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put glue on that. I am going to go right up to the edge of that border strip. I'm going to go to the outside edge of my page and glue that down. Then I'm going to open up and get my next flap. Do glue again. Like so. Okay, I'm going to turn to the other side and do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to the outside edge of the page up against the bottom of my border strip. again with the second page. So this will go just like that. What I'm going to end up doing right here is one of the cut aparts matted with a magnet to hold this all closed. But we'll come back and do that after we get the rest of this put together. Okay. The back side of this page, I'm just going to do kind of some side tuck spots so you can just stick photos and photo mats in here. Both of these are 2 inches by 6 3/4. And all I'm going to do is just a thin line of glue on the outside edge. You can mat the entire page before you put this in if you would like. I'm not going to do that because I'll just mat up to the edge of this and it will be fine because it does sit completely flat. And it is more of a tuck spot than an actual pocket, so it will be just fine. Okay. Alright, so there's that one. On the next page, this is actually our last page. My border on this one is 1 1/16, so I use the Summer Fun and then the little sunshines. They're not next to each other on the paper, but they are butted up against each other on the page here, which leaves me 6 5/8 from the bottom of the border to the bottom of the page. Okay, so on this one, let's go these. Okay, we're gonna do 2 flaps down, 1 flap up. Okay, so because I want these side by side all the way across the page, these are 3 7/8 by 6 1/2. I'm gonna put the 6 1/2 at the top of the scoreboard and score it 1/2 inch. This piece is 4 1/8 by 4 5/8. With the 4 5/8 at the top, we're going to score at 1/2 inch. Okay. We're going to miter our top. Okay, so I'm going to turn this upside down. I'm going to fold and burnish. And I'm just going to dry fit this for right now, which basically is me checking to make sure that this lines up edge to edge without these pieces overlapping. And it looks like I'm good. So we're going to adhere these down right up against the bottom of the border strip. They will not go to the bottom of the page, which is what I wanted. And then right here. Okay, turn around. And this one is going to come up from the bottom. So I'm going to fold those up and out of the way. And then just center this one at the bottom of the page. Okay, those will come over like that. This will close like so. And then on the back side here, this is 7 3/4. I have a belly band that is 3 inches by 8 3/4. You're going to score this at 1/2 inch on each end and miter. Okay. going to center that like so. This piece is 3 by 12. I've scored it at 4 inches and 8 inches. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and fold and burnish, because on one end I need to take just a sliver off so that it will fold together right. Okay. But I don't want to put this on yet because I want to mat underneath it, and then this will go on top. So I am just going to stick this one in here like so for now. Okay. So we've got all of our page elements in. We're going to do something on the back here. I'm just not sure if I'm going to do it as like a layout or if I'm going to put another little like boxy pocket in there, like, or an accordion pocket in here. I haven't figured that part out yet, but we've got all of our little elements in here. Okay, so we can go ahead and start matting and whatnot. I'll show you where magnets need to go next, and then we'll talk about our inserts. Okay, so matting. Typically with matting, I will go 1/8 of an inch smaller than whatever the surface is I'm trying to mat if I'm doing it like all the way across. So this is 7 3/4, so I would do 7 5/8 by 3 1/2. This is 3 1/2, so 3 3/8. So that's what I've got this one cut to. I think I was using that side. Okay. All right, and then this folds up this way. And again, that's going to be the same measurement there. So 7 5/8 by 3 3/8. And then that leaves you that nice, leaves a border but not a huge border. And then this bottom part is again 7 5/8 by, what is this? 3 1/2 is what we're gonna, this one is cut to. Okay, and then this one of course opens up this other way as well. So I've got green up here. Hold on, because one of these is shorter. No. Green is going down here. That's right. And I think this was my other one for down here. Nope, that one. Okay, so because this one was just slightly shorter, this piece is 3 5/16 because, you know, let's make this complicated. And we also have our magnet in here to hold this whole little place thing closed. So I've got magnet here, so it holds it up at this top. Okay, so I will pull that backing off before I glue my pattern piece down. And I'm using quite a bit of the coordinating solid cardstock on this one instead of petite prints, just because The solids on this one are so pretty. Okay. All right, so there we go. That's ready to be decorated. On our next one down here, we've got the entire page. So in this case, we've got 4 3/4. So 4 5/8 by 7 5/8. Okay, and I've got a magnet on here as well. I'm going to go ahead and do, I think that's how I was doing it. Hold on. And then I've got a 3 by 4 cut apart that I've got on a 3 1/8 by 4 1/8 piece that's where the magnet's going to attach to. And I don't remember. I think I was doing the yellow on the inside. And I don't normally go over the matting, but since this is a Doodlebug project, and a lot of you maybe aren't as familiar with doing mini albums this style, and where I'm doing a little bit different matting in some cases, like with the border strips, I figured it would be helpful to go over that. Okay, so these were 4 inches by 5 1/2, so the matting on here is 3 7/8 by 5 3/8, I think. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to pull my magnet. I've got one that's taped down. I'm going to go ahead and glue my matting down over the top of that one. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue. What did I do? Oh, it's because I ended up, I think I thought I was using a different cut apart on there. Okay, so this little piece is 2 by 3. I'm going to put it on the back side here of this 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. I'll then use that to line up where I need to glue it. Okay, so I'm going to center it and leave my little bit of a border like so. Put this back down, let my magnet grab where it needs to. I'm going to go ahead and secure it with tape just so that I don't accidentally bump it. And then I'm going to put my 3 by 4 cut apart on top. Okay, just like that. Okay, so this page, we've got it opening up like so. Inside here, I've got plaid and plaid, and then the green. So these are all 7 5/8 by 4 1/8 for these two flat pieces. And then my center piece is 7 5/8 by 4 1/4. Okay, so that's going to fold it that way. You're going to go with the little seashells here. Okay, and that one comes down here, and this one is going to be sunshine. And this one I didn't put a magnet on because I think I'm going to end up with a doodle pop on here, but I'm not sure. The other thing I had cut ready to go, but I'm not sure if I'm actually going to use it, is I had some 3 1/8 by 4 1/8 mats, and then some 3 by 4 cut apart. So I've got a journaling cut apart that I was going to mat them on there, and then on top. But I'm not sure that I want to do that yet, so I'm going to set those aside, and if I decide I want to go that route, I can always come back and put them on. Okay, so our little belly band page here, super easy, 7 5/8 by 5 5/8. You can put glue on this and slide it under. I usually will slide them under first, and then lift up an end and do my glue directly on the base, and then I can drop that down on top, and I don't have to worry about trying to slide that underneath with the glue on it, where I either end up with way too much glue or not enough, and then I have a mess. Okay, this was 2 inches, so we've got 1 7/8 by 5 5/8 here. Okay, and there we go, and then we can just do photo mats to put in there if we want to. This is our kind of waterfall that's going back and forth. So I've got my mats for all of those cut. They are all 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And then I've got a 4 by 4 cut apart that we're going to put on here. And I didn't do a back piece. I wonder if that other one was my back piece for that. It might have been. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and do this piece under here first. Okay, and what I'm going to do, so this is 6 5/8 wide, so this is 6 1/2. My distance between the bottom of my border strip and the bottom of my page is 5 5/16. So I cut this shorter. I cut this to 5 inches. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and glue this in here. bottom. And then I'm going to take my border strips and I'm going to use this little kind of peach dot one, and it needs to be, why does this need to be again? 6.5. And because Doodlebug border strips are a full 12 inches wide, I can literally put my sticker sheet in here, line it up with how long I need it, and cut through it and have it exact. Which is one of those little things that's just very cool. Okay. So this is going to go across here. Just like that. And there we go. Okay, so I have cut mats for the back side of these flaps. You don't have to mat the back sides if you don't want to. I'm honestly not sure if I want to. So I'm going to go ahead and mat my front here. And for this I did use the 6x6. Because I did want to use that stripe, but I didn't want it to be so big. So I did go ahead and get out the 6x6 pad, or a couple of pieces of the 6x6 pad. And then I'm going to do the little sailboats on that side. Because I wanted those stripes to go with that cut apart. So that's why I grabbed that 6x6 pad. Okay. So now, let's line that up. Find where our magnet needs to go. And actually, because this needs to be centered, we're just going to go ahead and glue this on the 1/2. Okay, and then pick up my magnet and put it down. And again, just to make sure it's not going to slide on us when we are gluing down our cut apart. So this is 4 1/8 by 4 1/8 for the 4x4 cut apart. Okay. And then I can do the front of these two. Yeah, you know what? I don't think I'm going to mat the back of those. I'm going to go ahead and do these two, and then I'll wait and see if I think I need the other ones. Alright, so then we just need to do that little piece there. So 1 7/8 by 4, and I really do think that might have been my one from, it was supposed to go on that other piece. Okay, so you know what, I'm going to use that one right there. Okay, there we go. Okay, next one is super easy because this is just the little kind of tuck pockets. So these are 2 inches wide, so your paper is going to be 1 7/8 by, I don't know how tall this was, 6 5/8. Okay, for the space in between, I did go pretty much exactly what the width is here. So I went 3 11/16. Yeah. And then the 6 5/8. So this is going to sit exactly in the middle there. Upright. Good. Okay. So this one is another one with a magnet. So I've got the magnet here and here. So on the front we've got our 4x4 cut apart. Okay, on the base, this one is going to be 7 5/8 by 6 5/8. Okay. That is not right. That is way too tight. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix that one in a second. Our flaps are going to be 5 7/8 by 3 3/4. I do know that for sure. But I'm gonna have to fix that one because that is absolutely not right. Okay. Alright, so yeah, that needs just a little bit taken off. May very well have just slid when it was in my trimmer because it was just barely off, but enough that it was going to cause a problem with the flaps on this one closing. So there we go. All right, so those come down like so. Okay, and I did not get my other 4x4 for right there. Could do that one, couldn't I? I think that is the one I'm supposed to do. That would be why it's just kind of sitting over there for no apparent reason. Okay, we are on the home stretch. So, for the matting under here, this is 7 5/8 by 7 5/8. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one again. I am going to slide this under like so. Hold it in place and then lift up and put my glue directly on my page. Okay. Much easier than trying to slide this underneath or with glue already on it. Much, much easier. Okay. So I'm going to mat my belly band like so. And then I've got our little 3 by 12 piece that we scored at 4 1/8 that's going on the center here. Okay, so what I've done, because that's what it is, okay. Sorry, you're not upside down in my little mess here. Okay. So I have a 3 by 4 cut apart that I have cut down to 2 7/8, and because this piece is shorter, I've cut it down accordingly. Okay, I have my little journaling spot that I cut to 2 7/8, took my 1/8 of an inch off for the height, so a 1/16 off each end, and then split it in half so that it will be in here as well. And match up. Okay. Like so. I'll fold this up. I've got my piece that's going to go here. And then like so, and then again I've got a cut apart that I have trimmed down around the edges so that it will fit there. And then we're going to glue this down. So you'll see this is kind of popping up, doesn't want to stay closed. We're going to do something about that in just a second. But first, we are going to center this on here. Okay, so I just have a scrap that is actually bigger than I probably want. So I'm going to cut this down to, trying to think, because I want to use, I think, this little border strip again. Okay, so we're going to cut this to 1 1/4. Okay. And what we're going to do is slide this underneath here, kind of to one side, doesn't have to be centered. I'm going to loosely bend this around like so and like so. We want this to slide, okay? So as soon as I figure out about where it needs to go, I'm going to come in here and just cut that off with scissors. It's going to get matted over, so it does not matter. Okay. Like I said, the biggest thing is making sure this slides, so you can slide it down to open it up, slide it up to close it, and then I'm going to mat with this little piece of a border strip. I'm going to cut about that much off of it. You, of course, can measure yours and adjust it accordingly. That's how I'm going to do mine. And glue that down on top. And there we go. We are matted. Completely 100% matted. Okay? So, next thing I would do is go through and decorate, but we are going to do our inserts for our pockets. The whole reason that this album stands up like this is we are going to have our inserts, and we're going to use our odds and ends on our inserts to have the different little elements from this collection kind of standing up out of the album, okay? So let me get that together and I'll be right back. One more thing, we need to do the box pocket for the back page, or the back cover. So I have a piece of cardstock that is 8 by 12. We are going to score this at 1/2 inch. Sorry, I cannot do it that way. I have to turn it. 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and then 7 and 7 1/2. You're going to turn it. You're going to go 4 1/2, 5. That can't be right, can it? No. Yes. Sorry. It's been a day. Okay. 4 1/2 and 5. And then, 9 1/2. Okay. So, I'm going to get out the other trimmer for this. Okay. So, this 4 1/2 inch section down here is the front of our pocket. Okay. This is going to be our, no it's not. One more score line, just kidding. So 4 1/2, 5, 9 1/2, and 10. See, I knew. Okay. This is going to be our closure. This is going to be the back. This is going to be the front. Okay. I'm going to put this into my trimmer. I'm going to line up and cut from the top where the flap is, the small flap, down to the second score mark. Okay. Turn it over the other direction and do the same thing. And then we're going to go in and in. Now, that's the other one we need to cut. We need to cut in there and there, and then cut there and there. That way we're able to do this out of one piece. Okay, so we're going to fold and burnish. We'll fold and burnish. And then come up here and fold and burnish. And fold and burnish. Okay, so at this point, the front of the box will be the same height as the back. Okay, if you don't want it to be like that, then you can take some of this off. I'm going to take about 1/2 inch off, just so it's not quite so high. And then we can fold in these little tabs. And we can fold in our side pieces and burnish. Okay. All right. So this is going to fold up, and those tabs are going to adhere to the back. Okay. But before we do that, we want to mat this. So we're going to mat this section here, which is going to be 4 by 6. So our matting, I don't know. Let me do this. Let's see, what do I want to use? I want to use that one. Okay, so I'm going to cut this to 5 7/8 by 3 7/8. That will be my front of my pocket right here. Okay, let's go ahead and glue that down. Okay, since this will be coming up and around, we need a little matting right here. So I'm literally just going to cut the branding strip off of that scrap, flip it over to the flamingo side, and glue it down. Okay, it does not need to go all the way down because you're not going to be able to see it, so it doesn't matter. We don't need anything here or here. We do need something here and here, but I need to grab a couple things. Okay, a mini brad. I want the crocodile, I think. Yes, crocodile. And then I want a small circle punch of some kind. Let's go with 1 inch. Okay, so I'm going to take a scrap and I'm going to punch a few circles. Okay. Not sure if I'm going to use them all, but it's okay. So, first one I'm going to do, I'm going to put one here, and I'm going to put one on the outside. Okay. I'm going to use the small side of my crocodile. Let's see if I can manage to not pinch myself with it, because you have no idea how often I've done that. We're going to take one of the little mini brads. Doesn't matter what color, because it's going to get covered over. We're going to feed it in here, open it up, and we want to do it so that it's up just a teensy bit. It's so that it's not totally flush with the page up here. Okay? Actually, it needs to come on the inside. I apologize. Not on the outside. It needs to... No, that is on the outside. Never mind. Sorry. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Okay. This one we're going to glue 2 together. And glue it down here. And do the same thing. Okay. Alright, so trying to remember how I have done this in the past. What color do we want to use? I think we're going to use coral doodle twine. Okay. So what I want to do here, and I just did that up too high, didn't I? I did. It needed to be down there further. Haha. Figures, doesn't it? It's okay. I will put something over the top of that. And I actually need a bigger crocodile, and I'm not entirely sure where mine is. So instead, I'm going to, that's not the right end. Go about right here. Like so. Good thing we have extra of the circles since I managed to screw the other one up. It's okay, that little hole there we will just cover over with something else. So we've got our hole both in the paper and apparently in my finger. And I'm going to go ahead and put this through. And again, I'm not going to get it completely flush. I want it to come up a little bit so that we can wrap twine around it. There we go. Like that. So let me grab my punch one more time. Maybe. What did I do with the punch? There it is. Okay. One over the back of this. Just to reinforce it. I'm going to kind of go around this with my bone folder. I'm going to take more of that than I actually need because it's easier to start with too much than not have enough and have to start over. And I'm going to knot this around my little brad. Trim that end off. You can go ahead up here and mat. So this is 2 inches, so 1 7/8, which I think that one is actually about perfect. Nope, too short. So 1 7/8 by 5 7/8. That's not the side I wanted either. I should not have stopped to do other things for 5 minutes because now I've lost my train of thought completely. Right the first time. Okay. And again, we're going to come through here. We are not going to open, or I'm sorry. We're going to try our best to get this spaced out. Okay, that's much better. Okay. And again, we're going to go over the back side of it. Did I just push it back down? I did. There we go. Okay. So then what I'm going to end up doing, I think I just did that totally wrong too. I did. Okay, we're going to try this again. Okay, so we need to do our pocket for our back inside cover before we move on to inserts. Totally forgot about it. So I have a piece of cardstock that is 8 by 12. We're going to put this in the scoreboard starting with the 8 inches along the top. We're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 1 inch and then at 7 inches and 7 1/2. I'm going to turn it. I am going to score at 4 inches, 4 1/2, 9 1/2, and 10. Okay? Then, and you can do this with a ruler and a craft knife, you can do it in your trimmer, whatever works for you. We are going to line up with the little 2-inch piece up there. You're going to line this up and cut down to the 4 1/2 inch score line. Okay? Turn it around. across. Lift up, come back across, scoot it up 1/2 inch. Like so. You can do that part with scissors if you're more comfortable with that. And then with my scissors, I am going to cut off part of that little tab. Okay, so this is going to be our pocket. We're going to fold and burnish. When we do that, we want to make sure that our tab does not stick out beyond where our bottom is going to be. Okay, and then up here, and here. Okay, so this will fold up like so. Okay, before we do that, we need to mat this. So this space is 4 by 6, so my matting is 3 7/8 by 5 7/8. Like so. This of course will be folded up here. This little strip here, I'm just using the border strip that goes with, that matches that pattern. Or you could use a piece of that pattern. It is entirely up to you. That's going to go there. On this inside, I'm actually going to use the little beach side of this. Okay, like so. And then because this closes up that way, to make sure I've got it lined up right, I'm going to fold that down. But just to ensure, in case I didn't do it correctly, I am using something that is somewhat non-directional, so that if it was upside down, it's not ultimately going to matter. Okay. All right. So that much is good. I'm not going to fold these yet because we are going to make our closure. So I have some 1-inch circles that I punched out of scraps. 2 of them I have punched a hole with the crocodile, and I've got one of the mini brads that I'm going to feed in there. Go around that with glue, and then take another circle that does not have a hole punched in it and adhere that down over the top. Okay, like so. I'm going to do that on both of these. So, okay, so first one is going to go up here, second one is going to go partway down. I'm not sure how far down, probably about there. Of course, I didn't do enough glue apparently. My thing, of course, wants to clog at this late in the afternoon. Okay. All right, so let's do this top one first. And this time I am actually going to measure about where my middle is. just make a dot. Come in here with the small side of my crocodile, just barely long enough to reach in there, and punch that one. And then I'm going to figure out about where ultimately I'm going to want this side. I think I'm going to do it right there on that little orange fish. But again, I'm going to line up and find my center right there. And because I don't know where my big crocodile is, the one that actually has that kind of reach, I'm going to do this with a pokey tool. Hopefully I don't regret it. Again. Okay. Poke that one through. Okay. So now, on the top one, I'm going to take some of the coral doodle twine, which I know I need to feed this through first. Feed this through, which I should have left that matting off for right now, but you know what, it's okay. And I'm going to take a second circle that has a hole in it. Feed that one through. I'm going to kind of open this up, but not do it totally flat, which is of course easier said than done. Once I get it where I know I can look on this side and see that I've got a gap, then I'm going to go ahead and take my other flat piece, glue it on the back side. And then I can take my doodle twine, tie a knot, and a second knot, and then I can come in here and trim off some of that extra. Okay, I'm going to repeat the process on this side, so I'm going to put that through. I'm going to drop my other piece over it. I'm going to try and leave it with some room. And then put the back piece on. Okay, like so. So now we've got our string closure. We can go ahead and fold in and burnish our pieces here. And of course you're going to fight with me and try to come off again, aren't you? I'm going to put just a little bit of glue underneath this circle. And come in from this side and burnish around it. That way it's not going to interfere with anything that you're going to put in your pocket. You may have to kind of come at it a couple of different angles. But, and who knows, I may have done this totally wrong. It's been, I don't even know the last time I made one like this, so it's been a while. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure these little tabs are in. I fold this up, and I'm actually going to glue it on the back. Okay, so I'm going to get glue on these tabs like so. like so. Fold it up and around. And then I can lay it down, go in here with my bone folder, and burnish it down. Okay, and there we go. That is ready to go. And of course you can trim this off whatever length you think is good. And then this is going to go in the back here, like so. And then I'll end up putting some of either little sea creatures or something on top of those when I go to decorate. Okay, come on, glue down. It's trying to clog up on me, of course, because I don't think I set it down right like 20 minutes ago. Okay, so this is going to go about right there. I'm actually going to open that back up so that I can come in here and burnish this down. Okay. All right. Now we're on to inserts. Let me get that together and I'll be right back. Okay, so inserts. What I ended up doing is I took a scrap of paper to figure out how tall I needed these to be, and just kind of inserted it in the pocket and then marked where the top of the pocket was, okay? And I did this for all 5 of them. So now I can just kind of come on here and figure out how tall I actually want to make these. So I'm going to say, if I can get some lead in the pencil, 3.5, 4.5, yeah, so it's looking like it's going to be 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, and 7.5. So they are all going to be 7.5 inches wide. So I did cut a couple sheets to 7.5. So I've got 7.5 by 7.5, a 7.5 by 4.5, a 7.5 by 6.5, 5.5, 4.5, and then I can take one of my scraps and cut it to the 3.5. So with these, I'll just end up adding photo mats to these, but these are just going to slide in to those pockets and stick up about 1/4 inch. And then I can add my odds and ends and things to kind of do my little things that are kind of standing up out of these pockets. So like so. So yeah, they all stick up about 1/4 of an inch, which is about perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and just do some basic photo mats on there, nothing fancy, and then I'll come back and kind of talk about how I'm going to do the decorating. Okay, so I have my inserts, and they are just single page matted front and back. So just whatever random scraps of the patterned paper and the solid cardstock I had, that's what I went through with those. So what I'm going to do, I had a different plan initially, but when it came down to finishing this off, I was not liking how it was looking. So I have my Chit Chat pieces that we are just going to put it here. Going back and forth at the top of the inserts, like so. Okay, so like this one, we're just going to do thin line of glue. Like so. And then this will sit down in here. Okay, like that. In fact, this is the only one that is the same on both sides. Last one. I'm gonna do it that side. Like so. Okay. So that's what that ends up looking like. I've got this little down by the seashore from the This and That sticker sheet that I just backed on some of my craft cardstock that I'm going to put right there. I've got my little sea creatures that we're going to kind of tuck down in here. I think we're going to go, no, I like that better the other way. Like that. But I haven't glued them in yet. I'm just going to set all of those little guys aside for right now and open this up. And so at this point, whatever extra embellishing you want to do in any of the flips or whatnot, you can go ahead and do it. I'm not sure what all I'm going to do because I'm really kind of liking it just as it is. I will probably, oh, I did do inserts for that rubber band. And those, I did end up leaving the backs of those blank, which was intentional. This one I need a couple of photo mounts for, nothing fancy. And this, of course, opens up like so. And then back here, we've got our little flip out like that. And that slides right back up over. And then I need to make an insert for this. I'll probably just go 7 by 7 here. And on my other belly band, I'll just go like probably 5 by 7, I think, on this one. Nothing fancy. And then for my little closure here, I think I'm actually going to use the icon stickers, and I think I'm going to use this one, which I need to, actually no, I don't think I like that one, just kidding, not that one. Let's go with, I don't know. Let's go with him. I like him right there. So I'm just going to glue him on the top there. And then I need something else on the top. The other one could go that route. I don't think I want to. I think I want to do a sea urchin. No, don't love him either. Aha, there we go. We're going to do the little message in a bottle. Okay, so I'm going to let those dry. I'll make my inserts for here, and other than that, just wherever you feel like you need some kind of embellishment. In some cases they can stick up, not of course on this one because it folds up, but like here, if I wanted to add additional things there, I could. Here I could add like the little lighthouse or one of the little beach houses, or cute little sailboat or something, you know, whatever you think you need to put in here additional. The only other thing I need to do, or not need to do, that I want to do, is on the very back here, I'm going to take, just 'cause I've been doing this on all of my albums lately and I really like it, I'm going to take my this and that sticker sheet and stick that on the back. So I will just finish off my front and a couple inserts, and then we're going to call this one done. As always, thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys stopping by. If you end up making this project and following along, please share it with me at Scrapping Under the Influence on Instagram and Facebook, and please also share it with Doodlebug there as well. And we'll see you next time. Bye.